What's going on, Sumolings? Chris here from AppSumo, and today I'm super excited for another webinar walking through an awesome product we have in the AppSumo store today. It is Evidence, and for those of you who don't know, Evidence is a platform where you can launch customized social proof notification campaigns to boost conversions. It's available on AppSumo right now for just $49, starting off that first code. You can .com/evidence to check it out. But today we are joined with Jared, who's going to be giving you guys a walkthrough of this tool, show you how you can start using it for your businesses, your websites, all that. Before we dive in, two quick things. If you've been here before, you've heard this before, I'll make it quick. One, you got any questions, drop them in the Q&A box below the video, and we'll circle back to those towards the end. And number two, if you got to jump out early for any reason, you miss anything, you want to rewatch this, we will be sending out a replay later today, so you can check it all out there in its recorded goodness. All right, that is all from me. Jared, thank you for hopping on this morning, and free to get going.
All right, awesome. It's my pleasure to be here. So real quick, just to add to what Chris said, I've actually got two members of my team on. Some of you may have already interacted with them via support, but it's Chet and Colton. They are in the chat, and we will answer questions towards the end. But if there are pressing questions that you'd like to know, or things that maybe are specific to you that we might not share at the end, ask those questions as they pop up. We'll get them answered in real time for you. So I'm Jared Morris. Just real quick, a little bit about me. I love being outdoors and I love playing sports. Right now, last night was basketball, church basketball, and indoor soccer. Tonight is City League volleyball, and tomorrow morning is going to be ice hockey on a pond near me. So if I'm not working in software and doing what we do in the day, I'm usually playing and having fun. Love for you to connect with me out on LinkedIn if you'd like. So this is going to be my only sappy slide, and it's totally pandering. But I'll just quickly answer the questions that everyone asked me. Yes, that is my wife. I am a salesperson. I convinced her to marry me. Yes, those are our children. No, there are no twins in there. There are no adopted children. Yes, I know how babies are made. And no, we're not planning on having any more. So the reason why I share that with you is obviously this is why we do what we do. What you're not seeing here are my business partner's 5 kids. Chet, who's on the call, his 5 kids. Colton's 3 kids. Clayton, who you've probably dealt with support, their 3 kids. Guys, it's a lot of diapers. It's a lot of mouths to feed. And so I just want you to know that when you make an investment in Evidence, it goes to a great cause. It's called the Evidence Diaper Fund. And when you give us a review on AppSumo and you send us those 5 tacos, that really does help feed our kids. So we appreciate it. Now I'll move on to some more serious stuff. So just a little bit real quick, our background this coming May will be 11 years in business, 5-6 years doing software. And so I know that coming from a development background, it's real easy for me to throw out technical terms. So I thought, okay, ahead of time, I want to make sure we're all on the same page so I don't lose anyone in the middle of the presentation. And so I thought it might be helpful to go through a handful of terms just so that we're all on the same page, have the same understanding. So the first one is FOMO. This is one that you hear a lot. You probably saw it in some of the promotional emails promoting Evidence. FOMO stands for the fear of missing out. If you didn't know that, it's a feeling that you're going to miss out on something important. The next one is social proof. A lot of times people interchange social proof and FOMO as if they're the same thing, and they are not equal to each other. Social proof, certain types of social proof can create a fear of missing out, but social proof in itself is not fear of missing out. And I think the best way to share the definition with you is to actually share the person who coined the term. His name is Robert Cialdini. He's an author. He wrote one of my favorite books in 1984, which is actually the year I was born in, called Influence, the psychology of persuasion. And this is what he describes as social proof. He says, people doing what they observe other people doing. It really is that simple. As much as we like to think as humans we're individuals and independent and free thinkers, we, like many other animals, are like a herd animal, and we know that there's safety in numbers. If you're in a public place, whether it's a mall, an airport, or wherever, if you heard someone shout out "bomb," the first thing you would do, you would look around and you would quickly observe how everyone else is responding. If all of a sudden you saw everyone break out into laughter, you might be a little uneasy, but you're like, yeah, whew, that was a good one, right? Whereas if someone yells bomb and everyone starts fleeing without thinking twice, you will immediately start running in whatever direction you can. And that's the power of social proof. And it hits at our crocodile brain at the very core. It's at a subconscious level. But as humans, so many of the things we do on a day-to-day basis is based on social proof. And so we're going to talk a lot about that today, because that's obviously the concepts that we built the platform on. The next one is web form, which is pretty straightforward. A lot of us have filled out paper forms, some that are not so enjoyable, like the ones we fill at the DMV. But a web form is just a form that we get filled out online. It looks something like this: first name, email, submit. Another one, this is one that has been like really interesting. I definitely want to hit on this one because there's been a lot of conversation on our deal page and other places, like, what is a webhook? Like, what does that mean? I've never heard of that term. And so I looked it up just to like go grab a definition. I didn't like anything that was said, so I just made up my own definition, because I think developers, when they talk about it, make it way too complex. And this is what a webhook is. It simply is some data pairs that get sent from one server to another. And I want to show you what that looks like, because I think when you see it, it becomes less overwhelming. So the first thing is, so you get first name, email, city, state. These are things that we might collect in a marketing or sales process. And on the right, so on the left, you have the actual field names, and on the right, you have the values that we captured for those fields. And so there's an app or a service or something that's captured this data. And what they do when they send a webhook is, you just give them a URL and say, hey, when you get that data, could you send it over here? And that's really all a webhook is. Now, the last one, this is a big one. This is one where I lose a lot of people, and it's a taco. And I know that sounds funny, but I'm just going to show you some quick examples. So a lot of people think this is a taco. Guys, this is not a taco. This is in our office what we call a last resort taco. There's another taco making its way around. It looks like this. Also not a taco. Like in our office, we call this, I guess if it's free taco. Guys, these are tacos. And growing up in Arizona, being 3 hours from our border with Mexico, like, you can trust me, I'm an expert on this. This is what a taco looks like. And so the reason why I share this picture is really fun, because I thought it would make sense to really not just jump right in the tool, but to quickly tell you why we built Evidence and how that that whole thing came about. So backtrack 7 years. I moved from Arizona to Utah. It was one of the biggest changes in my life I've ever experienced. And so when you're going through stuff, losing all your friends, all your connections, you turn to certain things for comfort. For me, hot tacos is like probably my biggest comfort food, right? And so my number one priority when getting to Ogden, Utah, was to find where I could go get the best street tacos. And fortunately for me, outside of our office on the same block, there are 3 different taco stands, and hot smoke, everything is it's beautiful. You can smell the smell just wafting in the air. And so I was like, shoot, well, which one do I go to? Really fast, without thinking much about it, it was easy for me to decide which one to go to, because the cart on the right had like 3 people in line, the cart on the left had like 2 people in line, and the cart in the middle had like 17 people in line. Now, I was a little short on time, but I immediately realized, I'm like, okay, so I'm new here, but that's where the locals eat. Like, that must be the good cart. Like, that must be the safe, like that's the one that's going to hit the spot. And these other ones could possibly put me on the pot. So I'm going there, right? And so that's really the difference between brick and mortar businesses and online businesses. Like a brick and mortar business, it's real easy for that social proof, to see people in checkout lines, to see people lined up to get inside, to look through the glass windows of a store and be like, wow, they look like it's bustling in there, which generates more people wanting to come in and be part of that. And so the challenges with a website is that all gets hidden. Well, websites, you're kind of like, there's like these curtains. And as I'm on a website, I don't know if I'm one of 5 people on the site. I don't know if I'm one of 1,000. Like, it's a individual experience, and websites by nature kind of kill the social proof that happens out in the real world. So here's the real problem though. If you take a quick look at the chart, 55% of visitors to your site, and this kind of varies depending on the source, but the source I was looking at, that represents your bounce rate. That's how many people come, bounce, exit the same page in a short amount of time without doing anything at all. Now, there is another chunk of people, 43%, who end up browsing, and maybe they navigate a few pages and then they leave. That leaves us with only 2% of people who actually take action on the website. And that is the real challenge that all of us face as website owners, is that 98% of the people that visit our site leave without ever taking any sort of action. So what's the solution to that? It's social proof. And that's really what we're going to show you how to put in place on your website today. Super simple to do so. We always tell people, hey, it's 3 steps to get our software set up. You install the pixel, you connect your data sources, and then you build a campaign. And so with that in mind, we're going to dive right into the software, because I know that's what you really want to see. But hopefully you understand, we started our business 11 years ago as a marketing agency. I got to tell a good story, but I also got to make sure that you're tracking with me, not just what the tool does, but why it does it and how it's going to benefit you. So, all right, so we're going to dive into the software here. And actually, I've got a couple browsers open to show you different things. So this is the dashboard. This is a demo account, so it's pretty stripped down here. But we've had a flawless kind of process for redeeming codes on that first time, but we do get questions being asked, hey, I bought a code, love it, I just bought more codes, how do I stack them? So I want to make sure I show you some of the basics here. So you would just come down to your image profile. In this case, it's a little picture of Baby Yoda. And then you're going to click on AppSumo plan, which will bring you to this page. It'll show you what you currently are on, like how many codes you've already redeemed. And if you have more codes, you simply put it in there and hit add. Once you've done that, what's really cool is you can come over here to your accounts and you can see that, hey, I've got, a master account here, and then I've got additional sub accounts. So if I've applied more codes, which grant me more sub accounts, and we'll go over how many sub accounts you get with each plan, you can just come right in here and create sub accounts. So this would be a great example if you are an agency, being able to add clients that get their own login, their own dashboard, access to all of their own campaigns, a unique pixel, everything of that nature. So that's how you do that. And then a big one that I also want everyone to know is how to contact us. If you have a question in setup, you get stuck, how to contact our support team, you just want to hit contact us, and that pops up a little message. Now this looks like a chat bubble. We provide email support. What this does is it really just simplifies it so you don't have to leave and go in your mail program and send us an email. It'll shoot us an email and we respond back very quickly. As you can see, I've got an amazing team that provides world-class support, and I hope that you get to know them. They're great people. So I think that's it. I guess one last thing, just we're avid documenters of our software. So I think we have over 130 articles in our help docs. So whether you're looking at an integration or whether you're looking at, looks like 140-ish, just kind of basic setup, you want to do some ninja stuff, like we've documented it all. So let's say it's 2 a.m. in the morning and you're working like most entrepreneurs do because you got a wild idea and you're in our software, you get stuck, you can likely help yourself by just checking out those docs. So, all right, cool. So that's that. I think that kind of takes care of logistical things. So let's talk about that 3-step process and what that looks like. So what I'm going to do is, the first thing I'm going to do, again, we said step 1 is install the pixel. So I'm going to go here on the sidebar to pixel. You can see there are a couple different options here. You can do it yourself, which we're going to show. You can send it to a developer, and we can also do it for you if you don't have anyone to help and it just feels totally overwhelming. But hopefully after you see this, it won't feel overwhelming at all. So I'm going to hit do it myself. That pops out this little side menu here, and I just hit copy the pixel. Then I go into the back end of my website and I want to paste it. You can see here, it gives me some instructions before the close of the body tag. Now, we have a lot of people who are, from what we've seen so far in the AppSumo community, on WordPress, which makes sense because WordPress powers at least 1/3 of the internet. So it makes sense that we would see that. And so I thought, okay, let's take a moment and just show them how easy we made it on WordPress. So what you want to do is go to plugins, add new, and you'll just type in evidence here in the top right. And I've already installed it, so I can't install it, but you would install it. Once you install it, down in your settings here, let me, well, I'll go to over to installed plugins. You can get there a couple different ways. I'll go to the settings, And literally it's just a matter of copying and pasting that script. So that's simple to get our code installed. And then here's a little feature that, well, I'm gonna first tell you, let me pause there and kind of tell you about the script. The script is really important. It has 3 core functions. The first thing it does is it actually tracks visits on your site. So we have a notification that allows you to show, hey, 43 people are currently viewing this blog post, or 200 people have visited the site today. You can make all sorts of statements. The way we get that data is utilizing the script. So you definitely want to have the script on the site. That's the first thing it does. The second thing it does is it hooks into, we talked about web forms earlier. It hooks into any web form of whatever provider you're using. And anytime that form gets submitted and someone submits their contact details, it kind of intercepts that data real quick so that it can be merged into a notification. So that's its second core function. And the third is that it also is the mechanism for allowing the notifications to pop up and down on your site. So with that in mind, now that we've kind of laid out what the script does, why it's important, back to the first thing, visits. Our plan thresholds, which we'll go over later, have visits. That's a big factor in what we're looking at, is how many people are hitting your website and how often they're visiting and whatnot. And so if you want to exclude any pages that you know you will never add to your, hey, I'll never on this one, you can just kind of go through some of my legal stuff. I will never be popping notifications on these, and therefore any visits to those pages I don't want to count against my evidence threshold. We made it easy for you to do that so that you keep that number low, as low as you want. So that's installing the pixel. If you have questions about, hey, I'm not on WordPress, we've got it documented for other platforms, and so it shouldn't be too difficult for you to get that installed. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to flash back to our campaign mode here. So let's say we've got our pixel installed, and then now we're going to go into an actual campaign. And I'm going to create a brand new one, just so you guys can see the process from kind of start to finish. All right, cool. So I got a blank canvas here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say create a notification, and this will be a new one. After launching on AppSumo, we got some feedback that, hey, man, I designed a sweet notification. I want to create multiple notifications that look like it without having to start from scratch. It was awesome feedback and input. And so we ended up building a clone feature where you can actually choose the campaign and the notification that you want to clone, and then it will actually clone it. It brings over everything, the size, the design, the image, the content, everything that you built in that notification, you're able to now quickly replicate. But for us, we'll just go ahead and I'm just going to call this announcement. We'll start from scratch. And this is going to be an announcement type. So we have 5 different notifications. I'm going to show you each one today. And so I won't explain those now, but an announcement is more of a static type notification where you control fully the text and what you want to say. So the default one here that we put in here, you can see it's a free shipping offer. But if I go to, let's see, I would love to just sit here and have a build day where we show you all the different ones we can build. But I'll just reference this page for you guys. Evidence.io/announcements shows you the how universal this particular notification type is, that you can use it to promote, publish, announce, disclose, inform on just about anything you want. So you can see we've got a lot of examples here for you that you can run through kind of at a later time. But what I'll do is I just kind of want to show you the editor and how it's different than many other platforms. So this is actually a live editor. So instead of having a notification somewhere, editing text in some fields, hitting save, going back and checking your work, everything happens in real time. So free shipping on orders over, we'll say $50 instead of $100, and we're going to change the promo code to ship for free. All right, cool. And this is actually, as I'm doing this, I'm realizing, wow, there's another feature that we built for Sumo Links after launch There were a couple people, and I think it was related to like their internet speed and where they were at in the world. But we used to have like a live autosave so that you didn't have to worry about hitting a save button, and that like your changes as you made them were getting saved. For some people, that was like taking them back a step. And so we're like, okay, we can't have a solution that works for 95% of people. We got to have a solution that works for 100%. So this nifty little save button is something that came out within the first few hours of launching on the community, and we were able to knock that out right away. So, all right, so I'm going to come over here to image. So we have a library of images that you can choose from. You can search our library. I really recommend on things like this, uploading your own image. And once you do that, it'll come here to your private library. So these are ones, that you can, once you've uploaded them once, you can use them over and over and over again. So, but it's real easy to just drag an image from your computer right here. And so that's being able to kind of set your image shape. We have lots of options here. So again, our intent with our live editor was, a lot of times we've seen competitors where their notifications feel a little out of place because they're limited in design, like what you can do with them from a design standpoint. And we want these notifications to feel like they belong on your website, like they match your brand perfectly, like a designer themselves created them. And so we give you all sorts of different options here. I'll stick with the standard one, but all sorts of options. And then you've got people who, maybe want it to be, take up a real small amount in a corner of the site. We've got some customers who their audience are people who are currently claiming Social Security. So like they have the ability to like size some stuff up if they want. You can also, a strategy here is to have a certain set size. And if you want to really, as you're going through different notifications, really have one stand out, you can size it up a little bit and have it stand out that way. But it kind of blows my mind when I look at like some of the stuff that we did in terms of giving people a lot of levers on how they want to control even stuff down to like the shadow and background. So we got a lot of people who take like the standard white one, and this looks awful, but obviously you can go in here and start changing stuff so that this is white. And so they'll actually use their branding color and then change a lot of stuff back to white. I'll just get this back, because if I leave it like that, guys, that's gonna drive me nuts. So and yeah, so all kinds of fun stuff here. I'm not necessarily going to make anything that looks good, but you can imagine this looks more like a coupon. It's really fun, all the different things that you can do, and you really control the look and feel of this. So that's the border animation. A lot of platforms just have a single kind of pop in, pop out. We know people, you just look at how people create different keynote presentations. They do all kinds of different animations. So we've got lots of options here for you to choose from to really make it your own and make it feel and function the way you want. So I'll just hit save here. And that is an example of an announcement. Every notification type has some unique settings related to it. Now, most notifications are going to follow a schedule that you're going to control in the campaign options. But we know things like announcements, like if you're popping, Jared from Ogden, Utah just did this, and Chris from Austin, Texas just did this, and it's kind of going and going and going. There may be times where you want this to sit a little bit longer on the screen because it's like a call to action that you want them to take. And so you fully control that timing on this particular notification. So that's an announcement. Once I have a notification the way I like, I will turn it on, and then I can come back to notifications. And if I just wanted a single notification, which isn't common, I could do that and I could go and publish my campaign. But I'm going to keep walking you through a couple of our other notification types. So this one's going to be called an offer, and this is the one notification that has an entirely different shape and size and everything to it. And so I'm just keeping this simple and calling it what it is. You guys will want to be a little bit more descriptive in your campaign so that when you reference it a year from now, you're like, oh yeah, I know exactly what that is. We even offer a place for you to put in a short description, if you need more details than what a simple title label would be. So, all right, so this is an example of an offer. Again, lots of options in terms of what I'm showing here. Maybe I've got, let's do this. Let's say guitar lessons. let's see. Okay, cool. So I can come in here, I'll go down to the button, never want to say submit, right? I'll just say start playing. Awesome. So again, like many of our other ones, you can kind of control if you want it rounded, if you want it squared. In terms of the actual text, you can size stuff up, you can size it down with the headline and the subheadline, all kinds of stuff around like the spacing and padding. So this is a beautiful notification. This one really stands out if you're popping a bunch of social proof notifications and then they see an offer. You can also run these independently in their own campaign on a page where this is just like a call to action that pops up. You want to get them to take action on a particular thing. Highly recommend this notification. So, all right, cool. So like that, turn that on. Let's go back to our notifications. I'm going to add another one. We're going to do a quick visitor count one. All right, so create our visitor account. The first thing we need to do is we need to let evidence know what pages are going to get, like what page, specific pages are going to count as visits in this notification. So I'm going to give you two totally different approaches. So if you're making a general statement about site to the visitors, you're definitely going to want to do all pages. But if you're creating a visitor count for a particular product page, for example, and you want to make a statement along the lines of, 32 people are looking at this product right now, you're going to want to hit only select pages, and then you'll type in the pages, and I'm going to remove this after I add it, but /product, and I'll add it. And if it can be one, it can be multiple, but you're going to go through and select these pages. Same would be true if you want to make we often see people who say, 52 people are looking at this blog post, right? So that's an example of selecting pages. I'll go ahead and just roll with all pages for now. And then back to our design. So this is kind of like the default layout, but again, everything about our thing is fully customizable. So right now we've got this with like a background color. You can get rid of that and you can change this back to, I don't know what purple I have in here, but something like that. Oh, that was a good guess. So the look and feel is totally up to you guys, how you want to handle that. But again, these two fields right here, these merge fields, these are getting pulled from evidence. So we're going to pull in the number of visits based on what you told us, what pages you want us to look at, and that's going to get merged right in. All the same is true. So if you want to show like different icons, your own things that you upload, you can do all those things. Now you'll see that we've got some stuff. Now we're making some claims. This is a little bit different than announcements and offers. So now we're making some claims. So you'll see the verified by evidence on there. You've got some different footer options for that as well. If you want to go in and choose colors, you can do those types of things as well. I'll just go ahead and save this guy. I know usually I'd spend a little bit more time making it beautiful, but we got to keep rolling here. Time frame, I'll tell you where this gets merged in from. So right here, we're going to tell evidence, all right, this is going to be, I want it to say today, or I want it to maybe be a certain amount of hours, maybe it's this week. So you get to kind of play with the time frame. Now, if you drag it all the way to the left, this is going to be a live count of people who are currently on your site right now. So, this is going to, instead of, this is going to merge in live, right? So what's cool is you can adjust the text here to fit with whatever your approach is. So if you want to say this week, you can. If you know you're doing days and it's going to maybe show 3 days, you might want to say in the last, and then we'll merge in 3 days. So evidence merges in the time frame. You say what you want about it, and that's how simple that is. Now, I'll go ahead and turn this on, and we looked at that. One other setting I want to point out here is, some people may not want to say, hey, there are 2 visitors on the website. I understand that's not great social proof. And the amount of visitors, people ask me, how many visitors do I need to have on my site for it to swing kind of to positive social proof? And unfortunately, the answer is that totally dependent on your site, your market, your audience. Like some people are in niche sites where it's amazing if 12, 15 people are looking at like this knitting website. Other ones, like if you're in a big industry, maybe you need a little bit more, but that's a decision you get to make ultimately. And you control it fully by here. So if I were to choose 20, for example, or let's say 19, here's what's going to happen. If I have 18 visitors on my website, the visitor notification is not going to pop and indicate I have 18 visitors. Now, then let's say a few more people jump on the site and now I'm at 22. Then that will trigger the notification. It'll say, hey, 22 people are on the site right now. And so that's how that lever works. So I'm going to come back to notifications here. And guys, I just want to point something out here. I know that we're known as a conversion platform or a social proof notification tool, but we have not, everything we've done is not currently connected to any data source. Like you can build all of these notifications right out of the box just using our script. We've had some people say, oh, I don't have a big marketing tech stack. Like I'm just using this one platform like HubSpot CRM, or, I'm just like the free version. Like I just have this one thing. Like, I don't know if I could make use of your tool. Well, the answer is you absolutely can, because you've got visitor count, you got offers, you got announcements, and none of those things are connected to a third-party service to, you don't have to have a third-party service to be able to utilize and get benefit out of these. Now, one thing that I will say is, we're kind of flying through this, and this is part of becoming a customer, is you get to read our content that we put out there, our videos, written content via email, blog posts. We show a lot more strategy around, creating an offer or an announcement. Obviously, there are things that you can do, even like this announcement. You could say something like, 789. That's a funny number to choose. That doesn't seem authentic, but let's say it is an authentic number. 789 marketers have downloaded whatever. And then right here, I could create a call to action. So download your copy today, and I click a link, and then I link it to wherever that download page is. So that's something that, again, that includes social proof with a call to action all at once. And we obviously highly recommend that. Now, all right, cool. So now that we've covered that, I just want to make sure, yes, okay, I think we're good on that. Let me go ahead, and now we're going to get into the fun stuff, which is connecting data and doing kind of some other things here. So I'm going to create a conversion notification. You know what, for this one, well, I'm looking at the time, man. Time's flying. Tell you what, I'm going to actually jump out of this campaign for time's sake and jump into another one. Okay, so let me show you a quick site. So this is just a kind of a demo page on our site. You obviously got to see, I think this is the gourmet cooking class. So I'm going to just turn this bad boy on so you can see, as I'm rushing through here, I probably didn't create the prettiest looking notifications, but I just wanted to show you, and I just kind of hard refresh here, what you can create, maybe with a little bit more time to match the branding. So here's like a visitor count. So 7 to 8 food lovers are currently visiting Gourmet Goodness, right? So that'll be there. That goes away, and then it's going to start cycling through other notifications. So this is it kind of in real time. Point this out. So you can see a lot of tests that we've done here from Ogden, Utah. And actually, tell you what, that's what we're going to do. Let me get back into that other campaign notifications. Okay, cool. Yep, sorry. I was on the wrong page. I got 2 pages open, totally went to the wrong page. I was like, that's not right. I just went to the wrong page. So there's an example of using an announcement notification as a Google review or a Yelp review. I think we did one as a Facebook review. So again, because you control the entire look and feel, you can use these, they're so universal, you can use them for so many different things. So here's an example of one I did just recently for a Sumo Ling. It was like they asked, hey, can you do click to call, where someone's on their mobile, they click on the notification and it immediately starts calling? The answer is yes, like you can do that. And so that's just something I kind of wanted to show you real quick. Now let's go back to this demo site. I'm actually going to just enter real quick. All right, so I'm going to say, send me the recipes. And it says, hey, your recipes are on the way. And then check your inbox now. And you can see that it immediately will pop the notification for me here in the loop here. It'll pop that a foodie from, Ogden just downloaded it. Now, this actually reminds me, guys, when you are doing conversions, let me get back to that particular campaign. I believe it's the cooking class one. Yes. Okay, cool. So, oh, this isn't the one. I'm sorry. That's not the one. Let's see. Recipe downloads. Yeah, it's going to be this one. Okay. And the design. Yes. Okay, cool. So this is an example of a conversion notification. I'm sorry, I'm flying fast here. But this is where there's some additional things you can do with evidence that you just don't see on other platforms. So I'm going to take, for example, this particular picture over on the left. So I am going to, currently I'm defaulting to Gravatar. You can see that it's got first priority. This has second priority and this has third priority. So what we do is we take the email address that you send us either via web form or webhook. And again, I'm going to show you that in just a second. And what we do is we look up and say, hey, do they have a public image on their Gravatar profile? If they do, awesome, go ahead and use that. Now, let's say they don't. Some people haven't set up a Gravatar profile. Then let's go ahead and default to a map. And I'll show you what a map looks like. And so what it does is it grabs their geo IP location and it generates a map. And actually says, oh, hey, this person's from Santa Monica or from whatever city they're from. Or the third option is static. So if neither of these are available, it'll be a static image. And that's just whatever you've uploaded. So again, I can click on this and whatever is your particular, let's say you run a soccer site, it could be something else, right? So that's obviously the fallback that you always want to have. Some people choose to lead with it like I have shown here. Other people are like, no, I really like to see maps first, then Gravatar, then static. Now let me talk for a moment about dynamic images. This is something that I think we're the only one that has this feature, but it's really powerful. So there are certain shopping carts that actually will send through a product, like a product image URL inside of that webhook. They'll be like, hey, here's the image of the product. And so if you're telling someone that Jim just bought some Converse shoes, you could actually show the Converse shoes. And then the very next person that buys a pair of Vans, it'll show an image of the Vans, not because you configured 100 different notifications for all the different shoes that you sell, but because it is dynamic in nature and pulls that right out of the webhook. So pretty cool feature there. The next thing is, again, a lot of times you're really pinned in on what you can say. Like the statements are very limited, and there's like an input field where you control a word or two that's part of this conversation. Again, you control everything about what's being said here, even down to what's getting merged in from your data source. So if I hit edit fields, you can see I've added a couple of fields like the city and the region. I could add more fields. And again, I'm just grabbing like whatever I can from, oops, and give it a name. So this particular source isn't sending the first name, but if it was, I could call that first name and then I would merge that in. You can see we're keeping it generic here, and we're just referring to the audience how we refer to our audience as foodies. But once I've created a merge field, it's super easy to put it anywhere in the text of the notification. So that's conversions. Now this has some really unique settings. So yeah, let me jump back to sources real quick. So you can see right now I'm currently getting the data from a form. This particular one is an Infusionsoft form, which is why you got the keep icon there. But I could also get it from a webhook. So here's kind of like my recommendation. If what you're integrating with is a lead capture mechanism, a lead capture platform where they've got opt-in forms, or even sometimes a lot of the calendaring service uses a pretty standard form where you're having people book appointments with you, the web form solution is a great option. Some of the benefits is that evidence itself captures the IP of the person and finds that location, so that even if your web form fields aren't asking for city, aren't asking for state, we will grab that information and allow you to use it in different ways inside of the notification. Now, let's say for some reason what we're integrating with is a shopping cart or some other platform where it's not really a form. That's where you can actually say, hey, I want to add a different source and I want it to be a webhook. So we talked a little bit earlier about what webhooks are and how they're helpful. I know some people, so here's the reason why we chose to integrate with webhooks, as opposed to doing, like, we saw competitors out there who listed a lot of integrations and then it was like, oh, it's all done through Zapier. Like, we didn't want people to have to pay for third-party software to get things connected to evidence. Now, most of your legitimate, like, marketing and sales software have this native ability to take the data they captured and send it to another server, like we talked about earlier. So things like Calendly and Teachable and WooCommerce and ClickFunnels and Fusionsoft ActiveCampaign, like any marketing and sales type platform usually has that ability. And so we built this universal method for any app to easily be able to send data to us. Now, what's cool is after our launch on AppSumo, there were a few apps people wanted where we reached out to other AppSumo products that have been on AppSumo and said, hey, here's how easy it is. Like, it's usually about an hour or less of development and you can be sending us a webhook. And 4 apps have already a wish list, Harmonizely, on the fly here, I'm not going to remember them, but they said, oh, that's so cool. And they immediately updated their app to have that ability to do that. So super easy here to add another data source. If I go through and I add this, actually, I can also use an existing one. I just want to point that out. So once you've configured a source and you're using it in another campaign, you're like, oh, let me save some time. I'm going to use that same data, but for this particular notification, I'll just create a new one, call it webhook, and I'll create it. And again, this is the URL. So we talked about, the server that has the data, sending it to the server that wants the data, in this case, evidence. So you would just copy this, go into that platform. They usually have a little field for you to paste it in, and you hit save. You can see evidence is listening for the first piece of data to come in. So once you've done that, we'll get some data in here. And then it really looks quite similar to this, where you just say, okay, hey, here's all the data that they sent in the webhook. Let's use these pieces of it in our notification, and you're able to go through there. Now, the last thing I want to show you on a conversion notification, which again, this is the type of notification where it's literally saying Jim from Ogden, Utah, just purchased, are the settings. So this is a little bit unique. There's a bit more dials here to show. So we can show the time. So as recently, if older than a certain amount of time. So we know that the most powerful social proof definitely is the most recent social proof. So showing, like, if you have someone that bought an hour ago, that is more likely to positively influence someone than saying someone bought a year ago. And that's like 2 drastic extremes. But like, that's just the case. That's how it works. Recency is a big factor in social proof's ability to influence. So you get to decide again, based on your market and your audience, like, when do you want to say, hey, this was done recently? A sensible default for us that we set is 7 days. I think that's pretty good. So instead of getting into 8 days, 9 days, 10 days, and longer, anything after 6, 7 days, instead of putting that timestamp on, it will say recently. Now, if you feel like, hey, no, I think it's fine to say, hey, 24 days ago, this person just did this action. You have that ability. We're all about customization here, if you couldn't tell so far. So this one, display conversions in random order, I don't usually recommend when this is unchecked. What it does is this shows, again, because of recency being so powerful, the most recent conversion you had. So 42 minutes ago, so-and-so just did this. And then they'll do the next one. 1 hour ago, so-and-so just did this. The next one, 3 hours ago, so-and-so just did this. And it just progressively ascends in that order. This one, you can ignore conversions older than a certain amount of time. This one is important, especially depending on how you set this top one. But sometimes people have so many conversions like they do not want to have like 200 things in the loop. So if you're getting lots of conversions, kudos, you can dial this down so that there isn't an insane number. You kind of are able to control, okay, let me take this down a little bit. And then the maximum conversions to display, similar approach, but a little bit different there. No one's going to stay on your site. You know, we've chosen 60. I think most people kind of are in this ballpark is kind of what they want. But most people aren't going to sit there. And then we obviously also have looping notifications, which I'll talk about here in a second. All right, so I'm going to take 1 second. I try and get through this without a sip of water, but I gotta take a quick drink here. Dry mouth syndrome here. All right, so this next thing is really powerful. Again, a feature incredibly unique to evidence, which is filters. So I could be getting data. Let's say I've got a shopping cart and I'm selling lots of products, and I don't really have the ability in that cart to indicate, hey, just ping evidence with product A purchases. Like, they're just going to ping evidence with every kind of purchase. And if you're creating a very targeted message to a target audience on a targeted page, which is what we recommend, trying to promote product A and showing everyone else who's buying product A, the last thing you want to do is distract people with popping notifications of people who bought product B, product C, product D, right? And so evidence has that ability to say, okay, hey, we're getting data from this place. So, and I should have set this up a little bit better, but let's pretend that this particular field is called product name instead of form name. And I can say, hey, if the product name equals, and then I'm going to type in the name of the product, you know, Converse shoes. So if it equals that, then I want to show notifications. So I can either do like an include statement, or maybe I want to show for like all the purchases, except for I don't want to show Converse on this page. You can add multiple rules here, and you can, so it's kind of like an if this, then that type approach, so that you're really dialing down and tailoring and showing the right message to the right audience. So that is a quick look at streaks. Because of time, I'm going to skip conversions, but I just want to tell you quickly what a conversion is. A conversion accumulates, what a streak is. A streak takes a lot of your individual conversions for a particular action, and then it makes a kind of a summary statement saying 84 people have purchased white Converse shoes, you know, in the last month, or whatever time frame you want. So instead of those individual transactional as they happen type notifications, it's more of like a bulk social proof. Hey, look how many people, like this massive number of people have taken this action, the one you're, you know, looking at considering taking right now. So that's what a conversion is. Setup process is that is what a streak is. The setup process is very similar to what you see with conversions. All right, so we're almost through the entire campaign here. The display is an important page. You have the ability to select only certain pages, again, targeted messaging. Some people do have some general stuff where maybe the offer, they want it to be site-wide. You know, they want that thing to pop up on every page because it's an important call to action. They've got a webinar coming up in a few days, and it's a call to action to click to register. So lots of different options here, both being able to show on certain pages, being able to hide on certain pages. So you can see you can make those types of statements here. The last thing here is options. So first we have positioning, where it goes on mobile versus desktop. We have quite a few options for you. What we see most commonly is bottom left and bottom on mobile. Now I will say, if you have a chat solution on mobile, let's say Intercom or Help Scout or Live Chat or whatever it may be, those tend to be on the bottom. And that would be an example of, you know, maybe wanting notifications to be at the top so that they can still easily click to chat with you on the bottom. Other things you can do is, that's getting pretty ninja, but most of those services have a way to invoke their chat through a URL. So you can also hide the chat, and then in your notifications, it's like chat with us now, which is grabs a little bit more attention than just a tiny little bubble. They click and it initiates the chat. So we're getting into a little bit of ninja stuff there, but lots of things are possible with this. So so these are the campaign options: being able to loop notifications, being able to determine, hey, I want to have at least, you know, a certain number before they loop. If you want to hide them on mobile, you can do that. If you're wanting to run a mobile campaign and not show these notifications on desktop, you can certainly do that. But obviously we do recommend showing them everywhere you can because they work and they help you increase your conversions. This allows visitors to close notifications, creates a little X in the top right corner of the notification where they can click it, and on that page, if it feels bothersome to them, that it can, you know, be hidden essentially. Again, you control everything about the timing. How long do you want to wait before the first notification pops? This is really interesting. We had a AppSumo who said, hey, I've got a video sales letter who, like, we really, I think, only had this like up to like 60 seconds or something like that. And he said, hey, I've got a video sales letter where I don't really let them know, like, I've got an offer that I'm making until 27 minutes into the video. And last thing I want to do is be popping notifications that, hey, so-and-so bought this, so-and-so bought this, because it just feels out of place. But when that call to action happens in the video and the order button suddenly displays on the screen, he wanted to be able to start popping notifications showing everyone else who bought. So we extended this to be able to go much higher. So you can set a delay, and when someone hits the page, it'll, in 31 minutes from now, start displaying that. How long do you want to wait? I wouldn't go too much above this 3 seconds, but some people do like it spaced out a little bit more. And then I feel like, you know, kind of 5, 6, 7 seconds is like the sweet spot for how long they display on the screen. Now, this next this next set of settings is what we call prioritization. And I saw some different affiliates out there reviewing what they thought prioritization was, and they thought it was like the whole image, like map, gravatar, and then a static image. This is part one of prioritization, which is if you've created lots of different types of notifications, offers, visitor counts, conversions, streaks, announcements, everything that is live in your campaign shows up on this dial, and you can say, hey, 50% of the time, I would like to be showing those conversions of people taking a specific action. And then maybe like another 15% of the time, I want to be showing the visitor count. And then the other 35% of the time will be announcements. So you just simply slide and drag here to adjust each one to what you want it to be, to make sure that overall the campaign is like really showing what you want it to. And so this is kind of like a weighted scale here. Part two of the prioritization is this. Most platforms, if they have different notification types, it's somewhat random in the order they display in. So let's say the very first thing I want to do is I want them to know about the recipe book, right? Well, all I do is I click and drag that, and that will be the very first notification that shows up when the visitor visits the page, and then it kind of follows this. Now, there's a lot to this algorithm of looking at like the weighting and what you've ordered here, but it tries to follow this while still rolling the dice and kind of like saying, oh, it's time for a visitor one, grab a visitor notification and whatnot. So pretty sophisticated. Above my head, that was one of our developers that put that together, but super robust and flexible for you guys. Now, this next feature is a unique idea that we had. We're the only platform that I know of that has it. I'm sure others might copy it at some point in the future, but it's a feature we call boomerang tabs. Hopefully, this hasn't been too distracting for you up here, this tab on the website, but you'll see that this text is scrolling. Now, Evidence, the initial idea behind Evidence was, hey, let's help people convert more of the existing website traffic. As a marketing agency, that's always what we did. We said, let's dial in your conversions. Then it makes sense. And then it makes sense to like increase your ad spend because you're making the most out of every single dollar of traffic you're paying for to get to your site. And that's similar with Evidence. You know, our first like priority is like, let's increase conversions. But then we really said, hey, you know, there's an issue with like attention today. Like people have very short attention spans. I'm like the worst. Like I'm working here, I get an idea, I go to Google, before you know it, my tabs look like crayon tips, right? And so people move on. They don't necessarily close your site, but they move on. And at some point they're like, I got to shut the browser down, and they don't come back. And so with boomerang tabs, what's awesome is the moment they leave your site, it starts scrolling text. And so they'll be working, doing whatever, and they see these 5 stars. They're like, oh, guys, this is amazing. It's incredibly effective. It causes people to click and come back to your website. So that's boomerang tabs for you. And then once you've chosen all these settings, it's just a matter of making sure you're active saving and publishing your campaign, and then they're live on your website. So that's a very quick top to bottom of the product. Things that we can't spend too much time in, but I just want to note is that you can edit your sources in bulk here. You don't have to chisel down your way into a campaign. You can edit sources, events, everything that comes in via web form or webhook are going to be listed here. So these are like your contacts that took particular action. And we also have reports, which are this is kind of like version 1. We've got some really awesome ones, but we're showing you your kind of your daily visits compared to your threshold, breaking down the events, how many events are coming in. But man, we've got plans for showing you a lot of engagement with those notifications. So impressions, how many times a certain notification was shown. Engagement is what we call for like a hover, like they engaged with it, but they didn't click. And then of course clicks. And so there's going to be a lot more coming to this section of the app. So I think that's a pretty good walkthrough. Chris, I know I went a little long, man. I'm kind of passionate about this stuff, and I was hoping to over deliver. I didn't want to hold back on anything. So if you want, we can talk about the deal, and then we can kind of go into some other stuff.
Yeah, perfect. We have about 5 minutes left. So I think all of your team's been handling these questions like bosses. And yeah, this was one of the best walkthroughs that I've seen in a while. And yeah, if we just want to touch on what's included in this deal.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. So for one code, it's important. Let me actually show you real quick. So if you just go to evidence.io/pricing. So what we did was we took our current plan and we said, hey, what can we do for Sumo Link? So you see our current plan, 40 a month, 5,000 visits. What we did was let's 10x that. So you're getting 50,000 visits per month. You also get 3 users on your account. We let you use this on unlimited domains, unlimited notifications. Like some services will cap you on that. And then you can see that there are no features being held back here. So everything that you would get as a monthly subscriber, you're getting in this AppSumo deal. You get the boomerang tabs, the notification prioritization, and there is evidence branding. As you saw, the verified by evidence, which is actually of great value to you from a credibility standpoint. So there's some light evidence branding there. Now, if you stack an extra code, we immediately double your visits, give you more users. We allow you to remove the branding. Some people may want that. Maybe you're an agency. And if you are an agency, here's what's really cool. We start giving you sub accounts. And you saw that at the beginning of the demo, where whether you want to charge a client a month, a one-time fee, a monthly fee, bundle it with a website service you provide, or these make great Christmas gifts. Like people love evidence. So if you know entrepreneurs in your life, you're like, hey man, I got you an evidence account. You can actually give them a unique login to their own account. And then if we go into number 3, again, we continue to stack on the visits and add user accounts and even more sub-user accounts. So this deal is like, a lot of people have been asking us, and I want to address this. Oh, so I can only buy 10 codes. Like I wanted to get like 20. This is actually a limit on AppSumo's side for transaction reasons, I'm sure. But you can buy 10 codes, check out in the same account with another 10 codes, another 10 codes. You can have one login to evidence. And as I was showing you earlier, from that login, you can easily toggle between the different accounts that you own and sub accounts. So yes, you can stack more than 10 codes. I want you to know that. And what it does is it will continue to grow by the 50,000 on the visit side of things. And what it also does, if I choose 10 codes, you can see it actually creates unlimited users. Once you hit 5 codes, it does unlimited users, unlimited sub accounts. So that's the deal. Again, we really tried to over deliver here by 10xing what we're currently charging people 40 a month. Yeah, this is our deal page. If you haven't been here, I hope you stop by. We're killing it on reviews, getting awesome feedback. I know I've got 1 minute left. As you can see, we did a lot of development already, just the week and a half that we've been on AppSumo, releasing new features. Things we're working for you right now is for those agencies who are creating sub accounts, being able to control the actual visit, like set a limit per sub account and say, hey, this client gets 3,000 visits, this client gets 5, this client gets 10,000 visits. That allows you to manage and charge accordingly. We're also working on animated GIF support and just a handful of things that are in the hopper that should be coming through next week. So this product is very alive and well, and we've been having the time of our lives here on AppSumo. So Chris, did I miss anything?
No, man, that was great. Thank you so much. Again, as Jared showed, This deal is killing it on AppSumo. 23 5-talker reviews. Super cool. Again, you can stack it basically unlimited, which people have been doing, which is also super cool to see. For anyone on here, thank you guys for joining us. Again, this is available right now, appsumo.com/evidence. You can check it out, and it's all backed by the AppSumo 60-day guarantee. So feel free to get yourself a code, get yourself as many codes as you want, get the setup on your site, your client sites, all that. Let us know how it works out for you. If you have any questions, you can leave that on the AppSumo deal page. I'm sure you can also hit up the evidence team directly.
Yeah, please do.
Awesome. Well, Jared, thank you so much for taking the time to go through all this. Like people are saying in the comments, and like I said, this was an awesome walkthrough. Appreciate all the preparation that you did for it. And yeah, thank you for bringing this deal to the AppSumo community. Everyone's really excited about it.
It's our pleasure. It's my pleasure, man. I've been a Sumoling since 2013 was my first deal I bought. So it's kind of cool to be on the other side of it, giving back to the community. So
that's awesome, man. Well, thank you very much. We're happy to have you and your team here. And yeah, hopefully we'll be doing more of these in the future.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Take care. Thank you, Sumolings. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.